Hi, this is Majinoni, and here's another edition of The Good, The Bad, and The Disappointing. Now, for The Good this week, I was actually surprised by my pick, because I was really harping on this whole universe to just go away. I thought most of it was really bad, and, really losing sight of what it should be like in terms of the magic of having its own universe. And when I started to read the Ultimate Comic Spider-Man, the Cataclysm issue, I never went into this thinking, wow, this is actually going to be great. Bendis, usually when he's in control of the Spider-Man character, it's been a very solid read as a whole. And the odd thing was, as I was starting to read this whole thing just started to fit together really nicely. Like the Ultimates, while I really enjoyed them, I thought, like, more recently, they became like larger than the life, so to speak. I thought that, like, while some of the stories were really well written, they just kept trying to outdo each other, and because they started to try to outdo the next story, they kind of lost that special touch that, of what it makes to be a superhero team. So what we have here is the female clone of Peter Parker going, am I going to get kicked out of the Ultimates? And just their whole interaction while eating Chinese food in this downtime. And this downtime really reminded me of the old comics, like how the Avengers used to sit around their table and having their meetings, the Fantastic Four, their family time, where they'd be in their living room watching TV, and Johnny and Ben would, prank each other. Then you have the X-Men, who, would also have their downtime. They're playing softball. And in a way, this kind of brought me back to that moment, because of just the way they acted, with each other. You have, like, nobody's really being judgmental. You have Thor being very un-Thor-like, but Thor-like in this universe. And it was just like a refreshing look at this superhero team. Now, from there, I'm going, okay, so far that part was good, and I'm reading it. And then there's Bombshell. I really didn't give Bombshell much of a thought, really, when she was in the Ultimate Spider-Man issue last month. But then I'm starting to read this story about this girl who's got these powers. She's got this parole officer who's being a hard ass, saying you can't use your powers. I'm going to turn you in. It's the Shield, the police. Your mom's going to go to prison forever. And she just wants to be a superhero. She's got this power and she wants to use it for good. And she's being, treated really poorly. Now, I can understand why this is happening, but, you start feeling for this girl because she just wants to do good, but she can't. She really needs guidance to turn her into a good character. And right from these couple pages here, we got the makings of somebody who could actually be a strong character. Then later on, we get Cloak and Dagger. And I couldn't give two F's about Cloak and Dagger, in all honesty. While I originally liked the concept of the Cloak and Dagger team, I don't think that they're really that interesting in the long haul. Especially the old version, where I was just dealing with, dealing with the drug addict kids and the drug lords and things like that. But, I think the way Cloak is drawn, it's really, really good. And then you get this feeling of abandonment, where their family thinks that they're dead. Dagger wants to go hunt their family down. The family's moved on without them. And, you start feeling for them again. And then it's like, these two kids with powers, they're lost. And they need somebody to come up and say, hey, this is how you do things. And they want to become superheroes. And I'm just thinking to myself, my gosh, let's carve out Ultimate Avengers. The Ultimates. Let's carve out Ultimate X-Men and all that other stuff. Well, let's just have a universe that's Ultimate Spider-Man, and that's it. Because Bendis is really doing a fantastic job with these characters. And I fully realize, though, the minute Bendis is off this book, it's going to go to hell. But for right now, this is, in terms of the characters, this is what really made it. Now, the last page is where Galactus appears. And I was like, damn, that is a freaking awesome picture. This is almost like, if I can get this poster sized, I would buy a poster of this, because this is just fantastic. And this really, when you look at how everything is put together, that's why this is my good book of the week. The Bad. Ugh, the bad. Superman, Wonder Woman. Okay. The reason why, for me, this is bad is this. This, to me, is storytelling 101. They did nothing challenging. They played it safe, and they basically catered to the fanboys to make their heroes look bigger and badder than what they really are, type thing. And by that, now, you may not realize that from the beginning, but I'll explain what I mean by that in just a second. First of all, you have this really bad picture of Wonder Woman flying up, when in reality it should be like this, and even when it's like this, it's not that great of a picture to turn the page. But what you have is this great battle. You're thinking, my God, Superman fanboy's wet dream, Doomsday kicking butt, punching Wonder Woman, breaking both of her arms. She's on her last leg. What's she going to do? You're thinking, oh, I know, she's not going to do anything because Doomsday then disappears. Yeah, disappears. Doesn't do a damn thing. So, we learn a little bit that here they're in the Phantom Zone, and maybe the Phantom Zone is weakening, and that's why Doomsday, appeared, but then, he disappeared again. So I'm going, okay, that was really a waste. I mean, I really reread this a couple times. This part here going, did I miss something? Yeah, I know I saw this part, but I was like, where's Superman? Where's the big punch? Where is Superman coming in to save the day? And that's what I was really looking for. So then we learned that, okay, Wonder Woman can't beat up Superman's main villain. That's what we learned from that. So then Wonder Woman's like, Clark, don't worry. No matter what the obstacle is, together we can solve it, and we will make everything right. Let me take you to my weaponsmith, so this way we can get you outfitted. So I'm like, okay, now we show Wonder Woman readers who probably didn't read Superman that this is Doomsday, this is the Fortress of Solitude. So now we get to learn Wonder Woman's main peeps. But what happens here? Superman handles whatchamacallit guy, and then Ares shows up. Oh, where's that? Apollo shows up, and then they begin. Superman and him can throw some blows, and guess who gets the upper hand? Superman. So what we have here is a very safe storyline. We have Superman can beat up everybody. We have Wonder Woman who can't beat up everybody, but yet through the power of love, she is going to help Superman overcome everything. Then you have an introduction of everybody. So this way, both sides of the fandom can understand who key people are. And then, so as you can see, it's nothing challenging. It's nothing, it's just safe. But what they do is they throw you Doomsday to sell issue number 1. They throw you Doomsday to sell issue number 2. And then they give you Zod for the end. And I'm like, I'm so done with this type of nonsense. Because I don't know about you guys, but I would much rather see a battle between Superman and Doomsday versus Superman and Zod. It's ridiculous. And I'm just like, now granted you can also argue, well, it's leading up to a bigger point where the Phantom Zone is weakening and Doomsday will come out and Zod is the first to emerge. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't care. I didn't, Zod was in the Superman movie. I saw it, and he lost. Zod was also recently in Superman, and guess what? He lost. I don't care. I don't want to see Zod again. I want to see somebody else. I want to see something else who's a challenge. I don't want to see Brainiac. I don't want to see any of those guys. Give me somebody new. And that's why I was kind of excited for Doomsday, even though I thought at the same time, well, Doomsday was the safe villain to throw in there just to raise sales. Now that I see this, I'm like, you know what, maybe they were right, and they should have just kept Doomsday, because that was what really would have made this a much better, I think it would have made it a much stronger issue. And even if they didn't really resolve the fight, I think that it would have really cemented that these two work well as a team and should be together as a team versus, well, Wonder Woman will actually get hurt against Superman's villains, but don't worry, Superman will be there to save her. Bad. Okay, and finally is X-Men Marvel Knights: The Disappointment, issue number 1 of 5. Basically, what's going on here is you have, and I know I'm gonna get argued with this. You have a bunch of horrible art, and you have a girl who looks like Illyana, who's not really Illyana, and then she she's got powers, and then the X-Men are going to this small hick town because mutants are getting killed, and this hick town is so small that they don't even have an internet presence. There's no major newspapers or anything like that, and they have to figure out what's going on. So, you know, to me, this is a disappointment because Marvel Knights should be a more mature storyline, not in terms of nudity, not in terms of violence, but it should be written to a higher level and thematic, I should say. But what they really did was they just played it safe. Mutants are getting killed, X-Men are going to come, and how many times have we seen this story? Really? Could you imagine the pitch? Well, Joe, I got this pitch for Marvel X-Men Knights. We want to make it edgy. We want to make it dark. We're going to get this artist on here who's not going to be traditional, so it's going to appeal to a different, older crowd. And Joe's like, okay, that sounds great. What's going on? Well, mutants are getting killed, and a team of X-Men Wolverine, Rogue, and Kitty Pryde are going to go looking to see what's going on. And Joe Q's going to go, well, as long as Wolverine's going to be there, it's going to sell. So sounds like a winner to me. And I'm like, ridiculous. This is, like, I'm really going to stop this after this issue. And I just don't care. I mean, I don't care what's behind the killings. I realize the last page, the main villain of the last page is probably not even really there, and it's part of this illusion thing that's going on, or mind trick. But I'm done with this nonsense. This is a very sanitized, very safe story, and it was a colossal disappointment, especially when you stack this up against Spider-Man Knights. Spider-Man Knights is phenomenal. It's well written, the art is fantastic, and it really does capture, I think, what the Marvel Knights was originally about. And this to me just looks like somebody just slapped this together from a script that was sitting there for months looking for a project, and yeah, I don't really like it at all. Anyways, let's get you some codes. I think I have a couple codes I can give you, because I know I always forget to give you codes for this video. While I'm getting this ready, what are your good and bads and disappointings? I have a feeling not too many people are going to reply, since everybody hates the new Google YouTube commenting system. And I don't blame you. It's a pain in the butt. And I'll give you my disappointing book also. There we go. Alright, if you have any comments or questions, let me know. Rate the video, like the Facebook link, Crunchyroll Anime Reviews. I'll have some reviews next, and some special, unique commentary. So until next time.